Welcome to your Keencut Excalibur 6000. In this video, we will guide you through the installation and calibration of your machine. The installation will take approximately 1 to 2 hours. Cut open the straps on the box and start unpacking, whilst keeping the components close by as these will be required for the installation process. Lift the main unit out of the box and do not lift using the black cutter handles. This sheet can help you identify all the components included within the box. You will also find 5 Allen hex keys of different sizes, with the 4mm Allen hex key found in the easy measuring scale tube packing. Items that might be used for installation but are not included in the box are a tape measure, ruler, scissors, screwdriver, 10mm spanner, 13mm spanner, 17mm spanner, pencil, 2 wall plugs, and 2 screws. With the machine lying on the floor, our first stage is to adjust the legs. Slacken the bottom 2 screws on each leg using the 5mm Allen hex key. Extend the telescopic parts to your desired length. Then retighten the screws firmly to clamp the legs in position. These can be readjusted prior to fixing the machine to the wall or to the freestanding kit. Now swing both legs outwards as far as they will go. Taking the handle, which is part P, align it with the cutting head's holes and fasten the hex bolts that are parts Q from the other side. Do this securely and firmly. Move the lower cutting head to the middle of the main body. Take care of the slack wire when moving the heads from the bottom of the machine whilst the machine is flat. Remove the top screw, washers, and spacer from each leg using a 5mm Allen hex key. Remove the squaring adjuster block from the right hand leg by releasing the middle screw only. Then, remove the 2 sets of hexagon headed bolts, spacers, washers, and nuts from the main body using your 17mm spanner. The next stage is to remove the small screw and 2 washers from the back of the squaring arm, part B, using the 3mm Allen hex key. Please be careful of sharp edges when installing the squaring arm. Slide the squaring arm in from the right hand side through the gap in the main body and align the corresponding screw holes between the squaring arm and main body. Slightly raise the squaring arm to place 1 spacer in between the main body and the squaring arm on each central hole. Then, fit the 2 hexagon bolts from the back of the main body through the spacer and the squaring arm. Now gently fit the washers and nuts from the front, but only finger tight. Place 1 spacer in between each leg and the squaring arm. Without tightening fully, fit the screws through the squaring arm and into each leg using the 5mm Allen hex key. Again, ensure that a spacer is placed between each leg and the squaring arm to prevent issues with material cuts. Refit the squaring adjuster block by firstly sliding the steel bar into the opening in the squaring arm. Then align the heads of the two screws in the leg to fit the top and bottom holes in the adjuster block. Then insert and tighten the screw in the middle hole. To finish the section, move the cutting head to its lowest position. Please get help for the lifting sections of the installation. Slowly lift the machine and lean it so that the front faces towards the wall. When the height is correct, place a scrap of card or board in between the top end of the machine and the wall to prevent any damage. Firmly replace and tighten the screw and two washers in the squaring arm using the 3mm Allen hex key. Fully tighten the 4 screws using the 6mm Allen hex key to secure the legs at the top of the main body. Use one of the short screws, part F, to fix the support arm to the main body. And long screws, part E, in each of the holes along the legs of the machine. Ensure the ends of the supports are firmly against the main body and the screws are aligned with the special grooves. For purposes of the video installation guide, we are going to use the freestanding kit. If you are going to use the wall mount bracket with the machine, please refer to the instruction manual via the QR code on the machine for this particular set of instructions. First, extend the freestanding kit's telescopic leg to the desired length so that it is level with the extension of the front 2 legs. Get someone to hold the machine while you firmly attach the freestanding leg to the bracket using the 6mm Allen hex key and 13mm spanner. The nuts and screws, parts H, I, and J, are provided with the machine box along with the wall mount bracket. Swing down the stay and attach the fixing block to the back of the main body. Tighten all 3 screws on the stay using the 5mm and 6mm Allen hex keys. Now, extend the telescopic leg so that the machine stands evenly. Remove the protective film from all blue support strips on the support arms. Slide the measuring stop onto the left hand and right hand easy measuring scale. Loosen the 2 screws on the fixing blocks to allow the easy measuring scale to slide onto the squaring arm. Ensure the end cap is flush with the end of the squaring arm and firmly tighten the 2 fixing screws using a 4mm Allen hex key. Repeat the process on the right hand side easy measuring scale as well. To square your machine, you will need a piece of card or easily cut board of at least 60 cm by 100 cm or 24 inches by 39 inches. The larger the board, the more accurately you will set your machine. Place the board on the machine and apply the clamp, ensuring that the bottom edge is in firm contact with the squaring arm. Select the cutting blade on the multi-tool cutting head. Cut into the top board to produce a cut approximately 3 centimeters or 1 inch long. Disengage the cutter using the cutter release lever. Lower the cutter to 3 centimeters or 1 inch from the bottom edge of the board and re-engage the cutter blade to make another cut at the bottom of the board. Unclamp and turn the board around laterally like a page in a book and place it back in the machine so that the same edge is still on the squaring arm, but do not clamp it. Align and engage the blade so that it enters the previously made cut at the bottom edge of the board. Now apply the clamp. Raise the cutter to the top of the board, and if the machine is square, the blade should enter the same cut mark as you previously made. If it is not square, you will need to make some small adjustments, which we will discuss next. If it is square, continue to the timestamp for calibrating the vertical scale. If you have checked the squareness and your machine needs slight adjustment, these are the stages you should follow. With the board that was used for the test still clamped in the machine, determine if the last cut made in the top of the board is to the left or to the right of the original cut. Use a 5mm Allen hex key to slacken the 2 screws joining the squaring arm to the 2 legs. Then, use your 17mm spanner to slacken the left-hand nut joining the squaring arm to the main body, and make sure that the right-hand nut is tight. Release the clamp and position the board such that the blade is held in the cut on the bottom edge of the board. Press down on the board to make sure that it is in good contact with the squaring arm. If your second cut is to the right of the first cut, you turn the adjustment screw clockwise when viewed from underneath. If your second cut is to the left of the first cut, we turn the adjustment screw on the right-hand leg counterclockwise when viewed from underneath. Turn the adjustment screw incrementally until the blade cuts in between the 2 existing cuts at the top. Repeat the squareness check, and if the cuts align, continue on to the next step. If they do not align, repeat the previous steps. Once everything aligns, tighten the 4 screws/nuts joining the squaring arm to the legs and the main body using a 5mm Allen hex key and a 17mm spanner. We now need to calibrate the vertical scale. Take a small piece of board and accurately measure its height. Place the board onto the material channel of the squaring arm so that it lays over the groove where the scale is to be applied. Use a pencil to mark a fine line level with the top edge of the board and adjacent to the groove. Remove the release paper from the vertical scale and stick it in place within the groove so that the pencil mark lines up with the measured dimension of the board. Trim any excess from the ends. We now need to calibrate each of the calibration scales. Place a piece of board in the machine and apply the clamp. Mark the top edge of the squaring arm with a pencil adjacent to the left-hand edge of the board. Cut the board and measure the width of the cut. Peel the backing tape from the scale, part N, and place it in the groove so that the pencil mark lines up with the measured dimension of the board. Trim the excess ends of the scale. Clamp another piece of board in the machine and move the production stop up to it. Cut the card and measure the width of the cut. If the width of the cut board does not match the scale measurement that aligns with the production stop, calibration will be required. Use the 3mm Allen hex key to loosen the screw in the back of the squaring arm. Adjust the sliding scale so that the production stop indicates the measured size of the board, then retighten the screws and washers. To calibrate the easy measuring scale, align the material stop with the measurement of the squaring arm and note the measurement. Make a pencil mark on the aluminium as shown. Remove the end cap using a 4mm Allen hex key. Then remove the measuring stop. Check that the steel strip is centered along its length. Apply the scale to the steel strip so that the recorded measurement on the tape aligns with the pencil mark. Carefully trim the excess tape at each end of the steel strip. Now, just replace the measuring stop and end cap. Fine adjustments can be made by sliding the steel measuring strip. Repeat the process on the right-hand side easy measuring scale as well.